Awesome. Well, on that note, I think we'll move to the next talk. It's more about things like how to get a damn job. It's pretty awesome. We're going to have Ricki Burke, a really good friend of mine, and one of the most beloved recruiters in the InfoSec Asia Pacific community. He's extremely active, and he actually goes to a majority of all the Sec Talks events and 2600 events and things like that. He's actually been published inside the 2600 Hacker magazine, and I run a meetup alongside him called AllSec within Melbourne, which is all about security. So hacking a resume with Ricki, let's get started.
Thank you for the intro, Sajib. Or sorry, Prodigy SML. All right, let's get these slides up. Okay, cool. So can we see that okay?
No screen share yet. You just need to share screen on the Zoom for the slides to come up.
Sorry, hang on. That would help. All right, cool. Thank you for your patience there.
Yep, confirmed. Good to go.
All right, so great talk, Reese. I enjoyed that. So you've given me something to try and follow up with there, so no pressure. So thanks to the Bug Crowd guys for asking me to do this, hack your resume. So hopefully very relevant to trying leveling up people's careers. Prodigy SML, thank you for the intro. That was really cool. Let me get started. So I'm Ricki Burke. I run a recruitment company, cybersecurity recruitment. We support customers across APAC and now starting to look at the US as well. I do like to be involved in the community. I'm extremely passionate about this industry and love it. And I'm very fortunate to be involved in quite a few different things, from talking at B-Sides events to running a mentoring program with Codingo, running the meetup with Prodigy SML, and lots of other cool things. It's just an amazing industry to be in, and hopefully I can share some stuff along the way that I pick up on a daily basis, talking to leaders out there, and also just stuff we see in process to help people out with their careers. So we put together some simulated jobs. What I want to do is run through some feedback based on what we saw, the good, the bad, and etc. I reached out to quite a number of CISOs and hiring managers to ask them their feedback. These are the guys and girls that are actually reviewing the CVs, hiring people. So I have an opinion based on someone who sees a lot of profiles and CVs, but also I wanted to share their feedback on the actual hiring managers themselves. So hopefully we're going to help you level up your application. So I thought I'd drop the name there as well, and then show you an example CV that I put together as well, that I think if I saw it, I would appreciate it massively. All right, so fake jobs, or simulated jobs. We put together 3 roles. So junior SOC analyst, a penetration tester, and security engineer. These are the results from those applications. And I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much to all the people that took the time to do that. So you certainly didn't have to participate in this process. This was, I think, more of a hopeful thing that myself and the guys from Bug Crowd were hoping for, and it came off. So thank you to everyone that basically put some time in to help us out and hopefully help you out as well. So there's definitely some mixture of profiles, some good ones and ones that need improving, and that's what this is all about. So this is where the profiles or the applications actually went. So we saw, for me, not surprisingly, the vast majority going to the pen testing role. What was surprising is that it was only 47%. Normally when we have these conversations, particularly Codingo and I, it feels like 90+% of people actually want to be a pen tester. So it's interesting to see more of a balance there. But again, not too surprising that majority are pen testing. So this is for those people that didn't go through this process, this is what you come across. So you followed a link and then you came across this mock job description. So the typical sort of thing you would see if you're applying for a role online. So roles, responsibilities, requirements, and desirable skills. Put your details in, upload your CV, and away you go. And again, thank you to I think it's plus 50 people that participated. So it's awesome. Now, this small thing here, this area, the cover letter or free type, this for me is massive. And it was more of a test when they're applying for a role, they have the opportunity to basically upload something. So a cover letter, something accompanying your profile. This is the percentage of people that did do a cover letter. So 35%. So honestly, well done to those people that did. So the first reason why I like a cover letter, and maybe it's a bit of an old school thing, but something, is because it's your first opportunity to make an impression. It's the first opportunity to really highlight your skills, and you can actually tailor it to the role. So a lot of people will have a generic CV that they'll attach to every single job application, but with a cover letter, you can make it personalized. You can tailor your approach. So this is an example of one of those cover letters that we received. So I've highlighted it in yellow. So this was a cover letter for one of the engineering roles, or the engineering role. And the yellow bits there, they've specifically highlight, at least the first paragraph, information that relates to the role. So the smart thing to do is look at the job description and look at those key experiences, those key requirements. If you can then show that in the cover letter, the person very quickly going to identify, yeah, you actually have some relevant skills. I'm going to keep reading. I want to get to know this person. The other things I've highlighted down below in yellow about volunteering and communication and presentation skills. Whether we like it or not, most roles in IT and security these days, they do require communication skills. They need you to communicate internally, externally, or whoever it is. So even if you're, and again, relating to Bree's last talk about the reports, you know, the quality of a report matters, whatever you're doing. And then also the volunteering. People like people contributing back to the community. So cover letter, first impression, you can gain a competitive advantage. So those 35% of people that did add the cover letter, they then had the chance to make a first impression and also tell the reader again why they're relevant for the role, what skills they have. And that is without the other people, the 65%, having had the opportunity to even get to know them yet. So help yourself stand out. And again, as somebody who receives a lot of profiles and stuff like that, I really recommend it. So an interesting question, and I've done some research on this, and thanks Google. How long do we actually have when it comes to reviewing CVs? So apparently, according to Google, it's between 6 and 8 seconds. That's how long people's CVs are reviewed for. I'm surprised if it's that short, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's much longer, maybe 30 seconds or maximum 60. So really, you need to capture someone's interest, their imagination. The quicker you can do that, again, they're going to read on, they're going to want to get to know you. And how many pages should a CV be? So this is the result from those applications that we had. So over 10% of those were 4 pages plus. Nearly 40% were 3 pages. And as we can see, 1 and 2 pages, around 50%. Based on all the conversations I have, I think maximum should be around 2 pages. And if you are quite junior or not experienced, then you don't need more than a page. And I have seen, once I did see a white paper that was 120 pages long. Someone used that as their CV. No one is going to read this stuff. Think of a CV as a gateway. It's your personal marketing material. You just want to capture someone's interest enough to show, yeah, you can do the role, and they want to get to know you better. They can dig into the details in terms of the technicals and stuff like that in the interview itself. One person did attach a file that we couldn't even read. So yeah, at least attach a profile or a version through that someone can actually assess. So if someone has to take extra steps to try and read your CV, then again, if you're one of X number of applications, you want to save some time, make it easy for the reader. They don't want to have to go through extra things or download anything else to actually read your CV. And I'm glad to say I didn't see this on these CVs, but I have seen people put passport information, even their family's passport details and things like that on a CV, which is just ridiculous. And these are people working in security as well. So obviously you don't need that stuff. Most people probably watching this wouldn't do that, but there are people in the world that would do this crazy stuff. Also, you don't need your date of birth. You don't even need, like some people still put their address. You don't need that. Put your nearest city or put your suburb. You don't need to reveal that much personal information, but at least maybe show location. This is part of, so on someone's CV, I always recommend having a summary. So some people jump straight into having their experience. I think have your name, etc., and then have your like a profile summary about yourself. Again, this could be a version of a cover letter, but it's a very short way to tell someone who you are, what you're about, what experience you have, and why you're right for this role. And this person, for me, I've really enjoyed reading the first part. The second part, no offense if you're seeing this, but you can do a few tweaks and you'll have a really good cover letter. But the first part I loved. It gives us an insight in terms of why security. And I think a lot of people can relate to, they got hacked. And this shows that they've got a curious nature. They've picked up some technical skills. I can't see why a hiring manager would not like this information here. It's a good story. The second part I've highlighted, not so good. This is my opinion, but again, my opinion is based on the many conversations I have with hiring managers. So I'm 3 times faster than a normal person and thinking more. People want skilled people. They want smart people, but they also want people that are also humble as well. If you're claiming to be the smartest person in the room, the fastest person in the room, the most technical person, or whatever it is, then you better back it up. And if you can't back it up, then you're going to look like an idiot. And even if you can back it up, you're not really showing that you're the most humble person. And more companies these days out there, they're not looking for, yes, they want the technical person, but they also want a team player. So unless you're hiring a freelancer who's coming just to do a test or something, a very specific piece of project, they're going to come and go. But if you're looking for a job, a role with a company, they want people that are going to be part of a team, part of a culture. And a lot of companies talk about the no dickhead policy. And it's true for so many companies I speak with. So I spoke to a lot of CISOs and hiring managers, and I collected a lot of the information, shared their bullet points, and what I did ask them was, what are your top 3 to 5 tips on hiring, reviewing CVs and things like this? So I've managed to put a lot of that information together. And again, it's stuff I know, but it's nice to see it reiterated through these senior people that are hiring and reviewing people on a daily basis. So that first point, an icebreaker. Yes, it is. It's an icebreaker. It's make your first impression, make it count. And that's where, again, having a good cover letter, having a really good profile summary is massive. So you're going to help yourself stand out. And again, when you've only got maybe, let's pretend it is 6 seconds, let's pretend it's 60 seconds, whatever it is, you've got a small amount of time to make that first impression and make a positive one as well. You don't want to keep the real juicy information, the stuff that they need to know about, down at page 2 or down at the bottom. So make it relevant and make it stand out as quick as possible. Most of those hiring managers said the same thing, no spelling errors. So yeah, simple as it is, we've got all these tools and stuff these days, and it's easy to make mistakes and run things quickly. But whether you're using Grammarly, whether you're doing spell check, whether you're getting someone else to read it, do something. No spelling errors. There's no excuse. No long CVs. No one's got time for that. So no one's going to read a CV that's word for word, 8, 10, 12 pages long. I love this comment here. So don't have lots of words, beautiful words, best words. So that was someone quoting POTUS there. Yeah, it's true. And again, get to the point. And the last one, and I ran a workshop a few weeks ago for another conference, and did the same sort of thing, asked lots of hiring managers about things. And one of the things they always wanted to see was outcomes. So describe what was accomplished. You can use metrics, fantastic, but you want outcomes. Where you can show you personally made a difference. That's what it's about. Because you can have the same job. Someone could be, for argument's sake, a penetration tester or sys engineer or sysadmin or system engineer, whatever it is. They can have the same job title at 2-3 different companies, but the role per company can differ so much. So it's not about the roles and responsibilities, but it's about what you achieved in that role. So if you can help highlight what you personally did, then it's going to help you stand out more. People like problem solvers, and offensive security people are very much part of that. So demonstrate that through examples and experiences. Someone else suggesting a CV should be 2 pages. This person is a CISO of a leading company in Australia, and they got 25 years and they've only got 2 pages. So what a short CV also does, it shows your ability to communicate and articulate information and condense it down. So being able to choose and cherry pick the right information is a skill in itself as well. So if you can do that, then that goes for you. And about data dump, too many CVs I see, they're 5, 6, 7, 8 pages long. Someone is experienced, they've gone through I don't know how many jobs in their career, and all they're doing is every time they get a new job, they're just bolting on the next part. They're copying the job description or the roles, responsibilities, copy and paste, and then suddenly you've got lots of pages. And not enough people, I think, when they're going for a new role, actually take the time to refine their CV, because information that you put out there a job that you did 10 years ago isn't as relevant as it is now. So you can still have the role there, but maybe just you don't need everything. Choose the information that's relevant for the role that you're going for. I love this. It is so true. Even if you're entry level, don't have much experience, you've got plenty to offer. You can demonstrate things. So again, being involved in an event like this, going to other meetups, conferences, these are things that should be on your CV. Not enough people actually put this stuff on there. I helped someone out recently who, I don't want to give away too much information, but let's just say they're very involved in the security community. And when I saw their CV, they were not doing themselves justice. We tweaked a few things, and after that, the CV looked fantastic. And again, it's all about information. This is an information sharing exercise. So make sure that you're doing yourself justice as well, especially if you're involved in events, meetups, you've had CVs published or whatever it is. This stuff needs to be shared. Again, spelling errors, please, please, please. It can't be mentioned enough. Check it, because I see too many CVs from smart people that have those issues. So it's easy for me to tidy up, and I'll do that for people when we're putting a CV forward. But if you're applying for a role directly and you haven't done that final check, it's going to be there, unfortunately. I like the last one. So about tailoring your approach, basically. So a lot of people, if they're desperately looking or just really eagerly looking for a role, they'll apply for lots of different jobs, and they'll not always tailor their approach. So you can not just tailor the summary, but tailor the actual approach itself. Are you applying for the right jobs, the right companies? Have you read the job descriptions? Are you contacting the companies directly for this information? So you can be very specific about how you do things, rather than a shotgun approach where people will complain they've applied for 50 roles, they've got no feedback, but sometimes they're not always applying for the right role. Massive, this one at the top. So read the job description, ensure you've actually, if you're matching the requirements here, then this is your opportunity to go back to that cover letter, go back to that profile summary and tell them, if they're looking for X, Y, Z, and you've got these experiences, then you can show that. And if someone can see that in their first 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds of seeing a CV or the cover letter, they know that you're interesting for the role, and they'll want to get to know you. Develop and sell your brand, which sounds like a sucky thing to say. But whether you call it brand or whatever it is, we've all got a reputation as such. And again, some people might not always do themselves justice. They might do some amazing research, but they don't talk about it enough. And yes, a lot of people, I guess, in IT or security can be a bit introverted and don't want to put themselves out there. But sometimes you need to. I'm going to call you out on this, Codingo, in a positive way. But if it wasn't for the stuff he's done in the community, if it wasn't for the things that he shared on his GitHub and the things he's been involved with, I don't think he'd be where he is today. It's one thing having the technical skills and abilities. It's another thing showing that and demonstrating it, because if people can see that, then you become elevated in the community. It can be a crowded space, but if you can help yourself stand out, it can only be good for your career. Networking is massive. Maybe a bit harder to do in person these days, but again, a lot of people wouldn't be where they are in their career without the networking side of things. So yeah, like whether it's online, whether it's offline in the future, really important to build those relationships. And the people that you see today that are very senior in their roles, again, chances are they wouldn't be where they are without the networks and relationships, whether it's mentoring, whether it's advice, whether it's knowing someone who could actually then refer you for another role. There's so many ways. So it's one thing. Let's fast forward 6 months, 12 months, and we actually get to go to conferences around the world again. It's one thing going to an event or a local meetup. It's another thing actually talking to the people there, because you could go to 10, 15 meetups or conferences in a year, but if you don't talk to anyone, then you're missing out these opportunities, because there are lots of great, there's content out there. The thing is, the content at the conferences, a lot of it can be watched online anyway. And not to say don't go and see talks, but don't miss out on the opportunity to go and physically talk to people, build some relationships, because you just don't know where they can take your career. It's crazy. Like I ran a resume workshop at B-Sides Melbourne last year. And one of the guys that I met, I actually ended up placing him in a role because I just got to know him and I knew he'd be immediately a really good match for one of my customers. They were looking for someone more senior, but I knew that he was a good fit for their culture and he had a near enough of a background of what they'd be looking for. Not only that, the guy the year before, he met his now girlfriend at a conference. It's just weird. Like, you just never know how life is going to take you sometimes. When it comes to interviewing, make sure you're doing your homework. So research the company, research the role, research the people you're going to meet. Because again, not it's an information exchange, this situation here. And again, if you can show that you are someone who takes the time and you've actually put the effort in to show, well, yeah, I want to get to know you, and you might have mutual connections, or you can demonstrate that, this person spoke at a conference X number of years ago, or they built this tool or whatever it was, then they can show that you actually do care. And that's what people want to see as well. Someone did mention a thank you letter. So maybe not a letter, but maybe email. Rarely this happens. And I've got a podcast coming out on Monday where I'm talking to someone in talent acquisition at a big tech company. And this is one of the things that we discussed. Very, very minimal number of people will do a sort of follow-up thank you email. And it's not a chasing email to say, like, where's my feedback, but more, thanks for your time, great to meet you. Just a very polite thing. And it's a great reminder and it's courteous. And it's just, again, that's another thing to help you stand out. All these small things, it's about giving you a competitive advantage in your career. And smile and be authentic for interviews. At least try to. And this goes back to doing your research. The last part being there about a little flattery. So, a personal message. Let's put yourself in a hiring manager's position. Let's pretend you did some research a few years ago that went down pretty well in the community, or maybe you, again, built a tool or whatever it was, and someone took the time to send you a message to say, hey, such and such, I applied for this role. Looking forward to my response. And by the way, I saw this thing that you built a couple of years ago. Really cool work. Thanks for what you've done for the community. It might sound cheesy, but again, it's another small thing to make you stand out, and hopefully it might open up some conversations. Yeah, I really feel this. So experience matters more than knowledge-based exams. I get this question so often: what certification should I take to get a job? And honestly, I just, except for OSCP, which I don't even think guarantees you a job these days, but it will get you an interview. This is a competitive space. Like, it's a really weird industry where if you're trying to break into it, it's bloody hard. Once you're 6 months into it, you've got a job, then stuff comes to you. The opportunities will come to you. Or if you're looking to change direction in your careers where people might want to pivot to one thing and go somewhere else, the most important thing is learning the skills. Yes, it's helpful to learn certifications, but if I'm honest, I wouldn't recommend most of those because I think a lot of them are a waste of time. And I think rather than spending money on that, go and learn the skills that you actually need for a job itself. So if you know what you want to do, so if you want to be a pen tester, if you want to be a SOC analyst, you want to be an architect, you want to be whatever it is, a simple thing you can do is go and talk to 10, 15 people that actually do the job and ask them, what do you do? What are the skills that I should use on a daily basis? And then reverse engineer it, learn those skills. And then when you're applying for these roles, you can then say to these hiring managers in your cover letter or your profile summary, right now I'm a sysadmin, but I want to become a penetration tester. And these are the actions that I'm doing about it. So it's all about demonstrating, one, that you've actually got a good attitude, but you're actually learning these things, because the closer you are to basically doing the job or having the skills, the closer you are to actually getting the job itself. So it's something I'm very, very passionate about, to be honest, because I see so much wastage out there, and so much, quite frankly, bullshit on certifications that you don't always need them. I think it's more important about the specific skills for the job itself. So this is my summary of CV advice or resume advice. So you need a clear, relevant opening. Make it concise, make it informative. Tell the reader who you are, what you're about, etc. This is all about the information. So this is the information exchange I'm talking about. If you can show examples, if you can show outcomes, then that's massive. Show business outcomes, because that's what businesses care about. What impact did you make to an organization? And that can be in many different ways. You don't need a long CV, 1 to 2 pages, which is, honestly, I know it's hard to do. And I hate formatting CVs. They're a pain, but we need them. It's our personal marketing material. And quite frankly, unless you're a known person and someone's approaching you for a role, then you need to get this done. There's a couple of really good tools that I've seen. So Novo Resume, if I'm honest, I haven't used it, but I've seen a few people use it and the CVs come through, and I think they look good. So yeah, happy to recommend that. One that I've used, and I'll share a CV of an example that I did myself, is Canva. They've got absolutely loads of templates, and it's a really easy way, once you get your head around how to use it, a really great way to actually make your CV stand out. And please, please, please check your grammar, or at least get someone else to do. So it's easy to do this stuff if you have the experience. Let's pretend you're a student, or let's pretend you're trying to pivot from one role to another and you don't have maybe much experience that's relevant for the role. There's still plenty of stuff you can do to add to your resume. I know loads of students that have landed their first job, good roles in pen testing companies, because they've done these sort of things. So not enough people highlight the interesting stuff they've been up to. So whether it's you've done security research, whether it's your blogs that you have, whether it's, again, your GitHub account and you've contributed to loads of repositories, or you built some stuff and put it on yourself, your bug crowd profile, these are things that you could be putting on your CV. This demonstrates that you're self-learning. The vast majority, and I can't even think of many people, but most hiring managers, what they want from their future employees are curious people, self-learners, people with a good attitude. Because the reality is the technology that we know now is going to look very different in 2-3 years' time. So the stuff that you're messing around with will change. And if you can show that you've got experience and you've got the ability to actually adapt, learn, and you're actually passionate about this stuff, you're doing it yourself, not because your boss wants you to do it or because it's part of your job, but because you actually want to. Those things are the differentiators. A cool reminder, and thank you, Shirin, from MDSec in the UK, is about reports from CTFs. So is this something you have to do? No, it's not, but it's another thing to help you stand out. So if you can demonstrate, let's pretend you want to be a pen tester. If you can demonstrate to, there's a role that you applied for at a pen testing company. You've sent your CV and you've put 1 or 2 reports in that you've put together on CTFs. This is the thing, like pen testing companies, they really care about technical skills and the ability to articulate information. This is where the value is for pen testing companies and their customers. It's the report. If you can demonstrate you've got the skills and abilities to do that, then again, you're demonstrating that you're very close to actually doing the job itself. And if you don't have much experience, you don't need more than a page CV. So this is a dummy CV that I knocked up through Canva. So this is me as a student. Oops, let's go back. Sorry. All right. So I have no actual experience in this CV, but there's a crap load of information. So I've got that I'm involved in the CTFs at the university. I'm showing some technical skills that I've got. I put my GitHub profile on there, some courses that I've been doing, my education, conferences and meetups outside of education. Because look, whether you're a rookie or whether you're an experienced person, the stuff you do outside of your work or education is massive. And this is not enough people actually put this information on their resume. So please think about some of these things that you're doing, because it will help show the reader how involved you are in the community, how seriously you take security or the industry, and how passionate you are. Because if you're showing that you go to these conferences or meetups or whatever it is, you're actually investing your own time. Now, this is massive. It's, you can't determine through your company that you work for or through the education that you have or the university that you have, what you're learning or what you're working on. But it's outside of work. That shows where your interests are. So if you can share that, that's really valuable information. And again, I've got a bit of a sort of personal profile there. Nothing too spectacular, but this would be enough for me to be very interested in and have a conversation with someone. Don't lie. Please don't lie. It happens. People can exaggerate. I've heard it happen many times, and sometimes you need to call people out on it. Sometimes people don't get called out on it, but the other person will know. So this is an exact quote that someone sent me, which I thought I would maximize and really, really make a point there. But I hear about it. Obviously, this is not everybody, but sometimes people feel maybe desperate. Maybe they feel they need to demonstrate more than what they do. But companies much prefer someone who's honest and transparent. Instead of trying to exaggerate an answer and make something up on the spot, because the reality is you're dealing with some smart people out there. It's much better to say, I don't know, but I'm going to find out that answer. Or how would you do about it? Or ask a question, be curious. Because if you can show that mindset, it's much more appreciated to someone who's going to lie, that's going to lose trust. And based on that quote, I think this is relevant. And awesome. That's me. So Ricki, that's my handle.
Love it. I guess I should back up some of what you're saying, given our history. For context, I spoke to Ricki when I was looking at transitioning to a pen tester. I'd just been told by a different recruiter, hey, it's going to take you 5 years. You've got to do this SAN cert, and you've got to do this and all of that. Despite having a really active GitHub, despite being quite well ranked in bug bounties and having proof points that I could do the job. And Ricki helped me to get in front of the right people. And the marker that the recruiter told me it would take me to get a pen tester is still in the future. And I'm now the global head of security operations at BugCrowd. So I really, yeah.
How many years? 5 years?
So yeah, they told me 5 years to go through the hoops of it all, which was ridiculous. And to reinforce what Ricki's saying here, it was GitHub that largely drove the conversation. when I was interviewing, because tools that I'd written were being referenced and used by pen testers on the bench. So that was pretty awesome. But also, as someone who now hires, if someone tells me, hey, I contributed to this, I'm going to look at that contribution, which feeds back to the do not lie part. Like if you come and you say, hey, like I contributed to Spiderfoot, I go look at Spiderfoot and it's this pretty benign thing. Like, you know, you've just put a couple of full stops on something so you could say you contributed. That's actually going to go against you, not with you. So contributions matter. Make sure they're quality. And yeah, I think we've got some questions, James, if you want to jump in with that.
Yeah, so one that came through from the Discord chat, Ricki, was what are your thoughts about putting certification badge images on your resume? Are they distracting or a good way to draw attention, or
the badges?
Yeah, so like maybe the OSCP logo, or
I hate it, to be honest. Yeah, I just think it takes up unnecessary space, and I do see a lot of CVs where people have all the letters after their name, or it just looks like a big alphabet on their CV. I think have a section for it. I think highlight the stuff, but don't lead with that information. Basically, you don't want people to think you're just someone who's gathering certifications for the sake of it.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense. Yeah,
if that helps.
Totally agreed. And I think it's also, you know, you don't need certificates. I didn't have any certificates when I became a pen tester. Certificates are for customers. What you know and how you prove it is to get the job. Yeah. You will be expected to get the certificate, so when they talk to a customer, they can say all of our people are CREST certified or all of our people have OSCP. But that's not the barrier to getting the job. And if there's a key mistake I see people make time and time again, it's they spend so long prepping for the OSCP and not getting started. And they also see that as the barrier to them actually getting into the industry. And it's far, far better to go, okay, I'm going to network. I'm going to go to these meetups. I'm going to go to these conferences and start seeing where you really land based on what you know, so you can round yourself out better.
Yeah, I agree.
Great. So we're probably going to tie it up there. There's a heap of other questions we had here. We are on time. So Ricki will be in the Discord. Feel free to pepper him there. He's always someone who's got a lot to bring to the table on this subject, and really exciting. I think we've got time for one more, actually. If you want to, James, you had one more there?
Yeah, I did. Sorry, I was just admitting our next talker into the room, so I might just have to scroll for a moment and fill in the dead air.
I love Casey's background, by the way.
It's been changing every talk. That's awesome.
Yeah. So one question we do actually have, though, is you mentioned on personal branding earlier, so that would certainly be related to a social media presence. How do you see that playing out in getting a role, maybe a first role? Is it a positive or is it a negative thing typically, or how you conduct on yourself on social media, I guess, is the important point there.
Yeah, I guess you've actually sort of mentioned the words there, how you conduct yourself, because you could have a presence, but if you're a dick, then, you know, people will not want to hire you. But if you come across as a informative and helpful person, then yeah, of course it helps. You know, the thing is, and to be honest, like this is the same for me as well. Like I have to put myself out there a lot because I need a competitive advantage for myself and my business. Do I want to do it? To be honest, not really. The stuff I like doing is I like being at conferences. I like meeting people and actually doing stuff that's not, I guess, in the open in public forum and stuff. But it's good for business and it's good for people personally to, you know, I guess a number of people will not just do presentations to share knowledge, but the thing is, it does enhance your career because the more the people know you, the more people that feel like you have something to offer and you have something to share, then it just makes you more approachable. You know, you could be the best at something in the world, but if no one knows about it, then no one knows about it. And it's just one of those things. It's about awareness, I think.